Our last chance to buy altcoins is potentially right now. And obviously not today. I'm talking about the next few weeks here. A very short window we possibly have. And this chart, as well as others I'm going to show on this video, all have something to play into the reason why I say that. And also in this video, I'm not just going to give you the altcoins that I'm buying to position into for this bull run. And believe you me, this bull run might be different to the others. But I'm going to explain to you why something like this chart right here is important. And while this differs from the existing chart, many of you know as the path to alt season chart. So it's important we make the distinction in this video. You're going to leave this video with so much more understanding on the market and hopefully your positions, but also more confidence. And that's my goal here, right? Is to give you confidence, but also let the facts out for you, right? Whether you like it or not, give you the truth. That's the name of the channel, right? So guys, you can help support all I do over here with a like on the video. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button as well. It helps support me and allows me to continue making this sort of content for you so you're best informed in this bull run. Now, as you all know, I'm trading right now, and I'm not a trader. I'm a fundamentals guy, as you'll see with this video, okay? But I think it's important for those of us who are new to trading or want to maximize gains in this bull run. And again, I'm not a trader, but I'm averaging here between a 2 to 4x on my positions every single day. Yes, every day, to leverage groups with important people, right? To leverage groups with experienced traders or members that will allow you to maximize your overall output. Guys, we have probably no more than 12 months remaining of this bull run. Like that is it, 12 months. It could change your life forever. Why are you taking this thing like it's another day, another week, another year? It's not. Things might be different in the future, and we might not have another bull run like this again. So take advantage of things like our trading corner and our private community. All links are down below. You guys know we got you with rewards in the trading group and all the rest of it to allow you to maximize your overall rewards, not just in trading, but also with free USDT, airdrops, and all the rest of it. Now, before I get into the content as well, I've got to point something out. Now, some of you might be sitting here, those of you who just listened and read the titles, right? And saw a video I made 3 days ago, why I'm selling all my crypto, you are walking into a trap. Now, if you just read the title, you may have assumed I'm selling all my crypto today, right? Or 3 days ago. I'm not. That video was specifically talking about selling my crypto this bull run, okay? And not holding or hodling even Bitcoin. And I went through some steps to allow people to mathematically prove that hodling isn't the right thing to do, in my non-financial opinion. The best thing to do is to sell all your crypto in this bull run, okay? So while this video is titled Your Last Chance to Buy, I am still buying. But when it comes time to sell, that's a different story. Now, we're not going to talk about selling in this video because I spoke about it in that video. But ultimately, it's important we do find realistic targets. As you'll see here, this video is going to be very bullish, right? Because there's a lot to be bullish about right now. It's hard to be a bear, and many bear traders are being proven wrong. Bitcoin just hit $98,000. And things are looking great. And a lot of it's got to do with this, right? So crypto works not on the 4-year halving cycle like we once thought. It actually works on this, right? The global liquidity. Okay, global liquidity right now is at all-time highs, or at least all-time highs since I've pretty much been alive. The only time in history it was higher than this was back in the dot-com boom. And we all know from history how that went. Very, very overvalued stock prices, basically, and everyone was making lots of money. Now, this is the first cycle we've been at this high of global liquidity, so that's a very bullish thing. And again, I want to go over some things that I've found here on the charts that prove to us why altcoins are about to pop. But first of all, I need to just elaborate a little bit more on why this is a bullish time indeed. I know you guys have heard of this a million times. Every YouTuber is making videos on this, but I think I want to just kind of give you the overall spread so you're completely up to date with what's happening right now. First of all, of course, we have the ETFs. So this cycle is different to the others, not just because of the global liquidity, and we're at all-time highs right now, but we've never had a Bitcoin ETF before. Matter of fact, it's about 5.5% of the overall Bitcoin supply right now already. $440,000 Bitcoin rather have been purchased since launch. We also have Ethereum ETFs. And this is about to get even crazier because, of course, we now have a whole bunch of other possible ETFs in the pipeline. I think Solana will likely be next. And this, of course, is all thanks to, Trump's win. Okay, Trump, of course, only won not even a month ago. And at this point, he isn't even the president yet. And we are seeing a massive rally in not just crypto, but global markets as well, okay? He promised a lot for the crypto market, and if these things come true, mark my words, the next 12 months is going to be astronomical. Like he said here, if he's elected, he is going to try to get the government to buy Bitcoin. That's pretty big, but again, we don't want to kind of lean on that as fact, but even the idea, the meme, or the possibility of this happening is going to pump the markets either way. If he hints at something in the next few months here of this being worked on, it's going to launch the markets. A part of what we do on this channel, guys, is prepare for possible announcements or positive or negative news in the future that might impact the price of a project. And of course, in this case, we're dealing with Bitcoin and therefore the overall market. So this could cause a massive catalyst like that very quickly. So it's important we recognize this. But like this says here, the rules will be written by people who love your industry, not hate your industry, Trump said regarding regulation. And we know that Charles here, the founder of Cardano, ex-Ethereum co-founder, by the way, who said that he is now working with the administration team, the transition team, if you will, on bringing regulation into crypto. And he's been hard at work trying to bring this into fruition for a long time now, okay? And finally, given that the pro-crypto administration has won, not just the presidency, but the Senate as well, things are likely going to be smooth sailing from here. Again, we could possibly have something within 3 months, okay? Within 3 months here. So this could be very bullish, and this is going to also be further exacerbated by the MiCA, right? Markets and crypto assets, which is crypto regulation in the EU. Okay, so we have a lot playing out, and who knows what might happen here once this is sort of all enacted, because at the end of the day, a lot of the world follows what the US does. So if the US brings us on board, who knows what's next? So all I'm trying to say is I think people are hearing this news, but the full effect of the news itself, the positive price appreciation, I don't think we've even seen a fraction of that yet, because I think a lot of this will happen as actual tangible proof of this being worked on comes out in the next few months here. So Bitcoin pumping to $98,000, I think, is just the beginning. We also see over here that the number of new addresses hasn't got anywhere near even the peak that we had back in the initial pump, 12 months ago. Matter of fact, it's been nowhere even near the 2 previous cycle highs. We're going to find this spike and probably spike to levels we haven't even seen before, just because, again, we're dealing with a much larger audience this time around. Bitcoin is doing its job of attracting new money, but that new money hasn't even reached its full force yet. We can even see this by the score of 47 in the crypto search index here on Google Trends. Okay, we aren't even half right now of what we were back in the last cycle, where interest was minimal compared to where it's going to go this time around. Yes, possibly speculation, but I think that isn't dubious speculation, as Ben Cohen would say. I think that's pretty, reasonable speculation, if you will. We also have the MVRBZ score. This has timed the top pretty much every single time on the dot. And we have blasted past the index score of 2, guys. I brought this to you many, many weeks ago now. And so if we break this again, we always break this twice in every cycle, the mid-cycle pump, and then we pump the next time we break this score and confidently at that, which we have, we usually have that next massive rally up, the main rally, if you will. So this is all good signs, of course, as well. We also do have, the HODL waves here. So the red colors are the short-term holders. The green colors are the long-term holders. Not to be confused with whales. Whales are different to long-term holders. You can be a long-term holder and not a whale. But either way, it's good to see long-term holders increasing, so they're not selling when they begin to peak over here, which is good. And a pretty generic top indicator as well is when we have this sort of red, or the short-term holders begin buying and buying and buying and buying, and that hasn't come close to the previous cycles as well. So all good signs to see. And I think this kind of pulls back into my overall plan with this bull run. You may have seen this chart before many a times, which is the altcoin money flow or path to alt season chart. Now, I've modified this chart a little bit from the previous generations chart, only because I see things working differently this time, and many people do as well, because a lot of these projects will work in narratives. What do I mean by narratives? I mean that you'll find that types of projects, so payments, layer ones, IoT oracles, you see they all pump differently. They all pump at different times relative to Bitcoin and relative to one another. Gaming, for example, pumped even after Bitcoin in the previous cycle. See how far away gaming projects pumped? And they all pumped together, guys. They all pumped together at the very, very end. DeFi pumped actually at the beginning over here. But DeFi actually pumped a jar to Bitcoin's initial pump, okay? So You can see here Bitcoin's initial high over here, but DeFi pumped a little bit after that. You can see here, it's like clockwork, guys. It's literally like clockwork. I've put many hundreds of hours into researching this myself. This is all my own work, and I'm very confident in this particular path to alt season. So right now, okay, where are we? What's happening? Well, we're in phase one. Believe it or not, we are in phase one. And I'm going to show you some time frames here in just a moment. And next is phase two, obviously. Now, I think phase two will send Ethereum to $8,000 to $10,000. Now, I don't know when Bitcoin will tap out. Bitcoin won't sort of tap out and its phase will die off and the all-time high happens. It doesn't work like that. Bitcoin will still continue to grow and grow and grow, but it doesn't grow at the same speed we're seeing right now. It sort of takes a bit of a backpedal. It will go up slowly, but then Ethereum has this massive amount of money flow into it, like that is currently happening right now with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is up like almost 10% on the week. Okay, we broke a new all-time high today. Ethereum, it's still at $3,500, guys. It's like moving sideways. But when this general money flow moves into Ethereum, if it's doing this to Bitcoin, it'll do this 2 or 3 times more powerful to Ethereum. Ethereum is significantly smaller than Bitcoin. It's over 4 times smaller. So it'll probably have 4 times the amount of effect, roughly speaking. And then what happens then? Then we move into large caps. This is where we find 70 plus days for almost all large caps. Now, we've seen some growth so far on large caps, but what you have to understand with this is that this is just the overall positive sentiment with the market, okay? This is just everyone's really excited about Bitcoin moving up. Old money who's been around like maybe me and you in retail, the last few years, or even the last few months, okay? We're excited about this, so we begin buying our favorite altcoins. We understand this process on what's happening. We are much more educated right now in this cycle than any other cycle in the past because of things like this, because of great influencers as well who actually see it for what it is. And of course, you know this, you're learning yourself, and it's becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy, which I can't tell you enough is almost always the case with crypto. Now, as you can imagine, the next step after large caps begin pumping is we begin finding narratives, AI, deep in gaming, real assets, and even ecosystem-based narratives, if you will, okay? Now, this is important. This is where it kind of breaks apart from the previous one that just mentions sort of the alt season at this particular phase. So it just says large caps and then alts. But at the end of the day, what will likely happen here is we'll find that the large caps will pump, the large caps like SUI will pump, and then SUI ecosystem becomes a narrative, and then money starts flowing into the large caps within the SUI ecosystem, and then trickles down to mid and micro caps. And then once that is exhausted, once people go to themselves, oh, yeah, we've been buying, for example, SUI, or we've been buying DeFi projects. We're all sick of that. They sell their small, mid, large DeFi, or in this case, SUI projects. And what do? They look for the next pump. And by then, the next pump's already being found, okay, which might, for example, be, storage over here. And storage begins pumping in this case. Okay, and then what happens then? Again, it trickles back down again. We have large cap storage projects, mid cap, small cap, micro cap storage projects, and then it circles back yet again. This will likely happen. Of course, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all these coins will still be going up. They just yield most of the gains to these sort of narratives as we begin cycling through. Now, here's where some time frames come into the picture. I've looked at Bitcoin's dominance here and noticed some pretty important patterns, okay? So from the last 2 cycles, so back in 2016, in this initial halving here to the all-time high, we had about 525 days. If I move my big head over here, we had 525 days until Bitcoin from the halving hit its all-time high. Usually the all-time high, as you can see here, is kind of happens when Bitcoin hits around about the 40% market dominance. When it falls to 40% dominance, which means its market cap is 40% of the global market cap, that is usually a good top signal. On the contrary, the point in which Bitcoin sort of loses momentum and starts giving money to Ethereum and large caps is around here. Historically, about 70% market dominance, okay? So at this point in time, it was about 367 days from the halving to that point in time to where it went, okay, I've pumped enough, I've brought enough attention into the market, I'm going to now give it altcoins. And then from there, 158 days from that point to the all-time high. And in this case, the last cycle, it was 546 days, so very, very close to the previous cycle. We also had from the halving to when it kind of gave up its dominance, it gave up its confidence, if you will, in the market, 237 days, so much shorter than the previous cycle. And obviously at this point, it was about 300 days to the top from the point it gave itself up. And so all this means is that historically, altcoins and Ethereum had roughly about between 158 days to half a year to almost a full year of complete and utter dominance. Our altcoins have said, we're going to keep pumping here for a whole year almost in the last cycle. So as you may know, history doesn't necessarily repeat, it rhymes, so it gets very similar. And so we can kind of use rough indicators here to get a gauge of where we are right now. And if we zoom into the current times, okay, again, this is very important to assess because this is literally this playing out in real time here, which is the only way we can kind of gauge where we are in the market. Bitcoin's been on a massive uptrend ever since September of 2022, so pretty much since its lows, and it has not given up dominance that easily. Right now, we're at about 61, 62%. It does fluctuate. And so we're getting very close. I don't think we'll get to the actual 70% mark. Like I kind of point out here, I think we'll get anywhere between the 60 to 65% mark. So right now, today, we actually wigged up a little bit more than this. We wigged up to about almost 62%. And it's very important because historically, around this time here, okay, so from about December, mid-December, so that is a couple of weeks away, to about April, we find Bitcoin finds that top and then begins falling down and will continue to fall to, roughly speaking, a very concise time frame here of the possible next all-time high of around September to October 2025. So we have less than 12 months here, guys, possibly, and I think this is latest. We might actually have this play out much sooner this time around. I believe this could actually play out much more sharp than people expect because Bitcoin has been trending up for so long. I don't think we'll fall down as low as 40% dominance, and I've outlined this on a recent video. I think we'll probably fall to around 45% to 50%. That's where I see the market topping, okay? So between 45 to 50%, and right now we are in the zone in which at any moment we could likely begin falling down. Now you're asking, what does falling down mean for Bitcoin? What does that do for altcoins? It's a violent move. Bitcoin begins falling like you can see in the last cycle here, and alts do the opposite. Alts say, hang on, hold my beer, and they just absolutely go parabolic. So we're going to have a massive parabolic move to the upside here. Alts will likely go to around 15% dominance of the entire market, where we'll have that small to micro cap mania. Now, this is important, right? Because usually Ethereum moves first. Ethereum usually moves just before altcoins. Again, it takes up that initial dominance. And it's funny because right now, Ethereum is very much so close to its all-time high, 55% the way there. So we could possibly be seeing here Bitcoin, I think, around 100K, maybe a little bit over 100K, to finally then begin fading its dominance into altcoins and Ethereum. Now, we are very, very close to the buy zone I've outlined here on altcoins. We have about $1 trillion or $1.5 trillion to still likely flow into altcoins. And this chart over here represents that, right? We're actually in the green, so under the green, by matter of fact, for altcoins. This is, as it says here, sell your house and buy altcoins level, okay? So that kind of speaks for itself. Now, what altcoins am I looking at myself? Well, I'm going to come out with a deeper plan for this, a deeper video going over my exact plan. It might be quite a long video, but most importantly, these altcoins need to be in the key narratives. These need to be in the areas like these narratives here that will perform the best this cycle. We can't afford to be buying altcoins that are in bad areas. If you buy an altcoin in a bad area, it's like looking for gold in a place where no gold is. You're just hoping for the best. You must listen to the market. You must yield any of your expectations or any preconceived notions you've been gaining in the bear market about why this coin is better than others, and just go where the money is. Now, it's not too late to move your money into an altcoin that has pumped up a little bit, so long as your goal, your target, in terms of multiples from the current price, will be met, okay? So if you're looking to buy render right now at, let's say, $8, okay, if you look at if you want a 10x on render, that's quite risky, right? You want a 10x, $80 towards the higher side for sure. But if you're looking for a 3x on render or a 3x in general, okay, that's very plausible for a project like Render that isn't a great narrative in AI and DeepIn, and plus it's also been quite popular recently because it has a very strong community. So surfing through crypto on CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko, it is so easy to get caught up in whatever coin's pumping up the most, like XLM over here, and think to yourself, I'm missing the boat. I want to go and buy in. How can I buy in? But what you're forgetting, guys, is again, it works in motions. Why would you try to surf a wave that is already sort of topped out or topping out and trying to crash down when the wave behind it is beginning to form, where you can catch that full entire thrill? And that's where you look into coins that haven't yet moved too much. Again, you got to do some research here, of course, into the narrative itself and the meme of the project, the uniqueness. But if you know it ticks both those boxes like Near Protocol here, why are you trying to catch XLM's top when Near Protocol is going to give you a pretty good way. I get it. As a newbie, it's very hard to distinguish this. It's very hard to know the price on the top side. That's why in the private community, we have over 100 altcoin predictions based on data, black and white, none of my personal opinions in this, all built on what the market gives us. And this helps you and enables you to beat the market, or at least it's impossible to do so, but at least front run most of the market, be ahead of the herd. So you're sitting there asking, what's this guy's picks? What's he playing for this cycle? Well, I've kind of given you the answer already, right? It's the major narratives of the bull run. That's where you first and most importantly have to look. From there, the distinguish between coin A and coin B in a narrative like AI all comes down to how unique it is. Does one coin focus on AI agents? Does one coin focus on something else that might not be as interesting as AI agents? You have to ask yourself, as a regular investor, most important thing you have to ask is this easy for a regular person who's just come into crypto in the last few months, knows nothing about the tech, and wants to buy this coin? What makes this coin understandable, most importantly, and makes them want to buy it? So that's where it lands me here on these coins. Okay, I think these coins pretty much summarize that perfectly. Now, I'm mainly hedged into projects like Render, AI, and Deepin. A lot of volume. Volume isn't the be-all and end-all, by the way. Volume is a direct correlation to current news, current events that have caused an interest in the coin. Volume on Render a few weeks ago was a quarter of this. Okay, so was a week ago, was it as quarter less interesting or less of a potential gainer? No. Volume is a direct reflection of whatever sort of current news has come up on the coin. So AI is the most important. So I'm hedging into a few AI coins here. Near Protocol, most importantly, these guys have officially gone head first into AI and doing a whole bunch of other stuff in very important narratives as well. Big tick. Obviously, Render hits the AI and Deepin sector. These guys are reportedly working with Paramount, yes, on building an actual movie or creating a movie on the Render network itself. Fetch right into AI agents, right into AI and all the rest of it. Very important stuff. Of course, Injective is now classified as an AI coin as well. And guys, Injective is, I believe, going to have some crazy gains this cycle because it's got a very strong community as well. Most of these projects I've just mentioned to you, Injective, Fetch, Render, and Near all have very strong communities. They must have a strong community, in my personal opinion, to do well. In the same respects, ICP has a strong community, and I personally still own ICP. People are crapping on this project right now. I think they will come to regret this. In crypto, we tend to have amnesia, and that means that for one day or 1 week or 1 month, everyone hates a project because maybe it's not doing as well as they thought, and then it starts pumping up due to some news, and then everyone buys back in again. It's a story told the last 10 years since this market's been a thing, all right? It's the oldest time itself, if you will. Now, Celestia itself is another coin here I think is undervalued. This coin had a recent massive unlock, but the token price didn't really tank too much. I think this is one to be cautious of. I do think VCs will dump this coin to the moon and back, but I do think we go to certain levels first of all, okay? Levels in which I believe will go for a 10x or more from the current price. Ondo is one of my more bullish projects. So is Pith, actually. But Ondo here, I want to make a special note of. It's in real-world assets, I believe probably the biggest narrative of the bull run. I think even more than AI, because real-world assets in this bull run is why people use crypto. AI is not a de facto crypto-specific thing. AI is a real-world Web 2 generic narrative, if you will. Now, that overlaps to crypto, and that obviously enables crypto AI projects to pump as high as they will. But I think real-world assets, you can't have that in the regular world. This is a crypto-specific thing, pushed by massive companies. And so Ondo being a 1 billion market cap, this coin has a lot to grow. We also have Beam. You must, in my opinion, have exposure to gaming, non-financial advice. Gaming might pump last like we did see in the previous cycle, well after even Bitcoin's high. So if it actually pumps again after, when the market is crashing, that could be a potential warning sign because obviously, are we going to be able to distinguish, hey, gaming hasn't pumped yet. Bitcoin's falling from like 150, 130, 120, 110. Do we hold or do we fold our gaming bags? So that's something that we have to consider as well. It might come with a little bit more risk, but of course it is something to note as well. Aerodrome is definitely on this list as the de facto DEX on base. We also have a few other projects like Aether, Flux, these coins that are going into the small caps. You have to understand, like I mentioned over here, the smaller you go, the smaller caps you go, you do have to expect them to pump last in the narrative pump, which means that you can sometimes be holding these bags with no price movement for a few months while large caps are pumping. That's okay. That's a part of the game, but you have to ask yourself if you're willing to do that. Are you willing to hold these small micro caps for a while before they move? Well, sometimes it might make sense to buy large caps, let them pump out, And as they begin pumping, you hit your sell levels and you might want to reinvest in the smaller caps. There's a million ways to skin the cat. Of course, some more risky than others. But in my personal opinion, I'm just going with the large caps. I'm just making between a 5 to 10x this cycle. In the next cycle, I plan to really kind of exacerbate those gains. Some of you guys won $1 million yesterday, so go punt on your micro caps. I'm not your mum, I'm not your dad, but I'm just here to tell you from my experience what I think will play out. So with that being said, I'll talk to you all soon. Take good care of yourselves. Bye-bye.